What's up, guys? So, why do you need to learn robotics, and why is computational thinking something that you need to know? That's what we're going to dig into right now. So, the first thing that I want you guys to understand is when you watch that video of Tesla and all of those machines being automated, what's going to end up happening is all of those thousands of humans that would have been working in that factory no longer have a job in that factory. And as this technology gets more and more advanced, the need for manpower is going to go lower and lower and lower. People who are working at fast food restaurants are going to get replaced by machines. The amount of jobs that are low intelligence jobs are going down because those jobs are able to be replaced by machines. So why do you need to know computational thinking? Well, people in the workforce no longer want people that know things. So what do I mean by people in the workforce no longer look for what you know? Well, if you do any quick Google search, and I encourage you to do this, and you look, you're going to see all of these people that are applying to jobs on Indeed or Glassdoor, and people are getting nowhere, and they're getting frustrated because they can't find a job, because all of these resumes, thousands and thousands of people are applying with the appropriate skills to these jobs, and it's so hard to actually get an interview. And part of that actually has to do with automation, because the automation process has completely gutted the ability for people to get noticed, because there's so many people out there with the same skills. So in a world with so many people with the same skills, how do you stand out? And if this is you one day, how do you fix it? So the first thing that I want to bring up is, if you are in a situation where you're saying, I can't get a job, your thinking style is the first thing that you need to put into question, which has to do with computational thinking, which builds your way of thinking. Instead of, I don't know how to get a job, how can I get a job? If you shift your thinking towards the, how do I do something, and then act on that, that's the first step that computational thinking teaches you to do. You can't just accept that you don't know something, you have to figure out how to do it. So let's go into the example we talked about getting a job. So you're applying, you go to Indeed, you go to Glassdoor, you apply everywhere, you can't get a job, and you say, I don't know how to get a job. Well, let's use computational thinking. We're going to go decompose this and say, well, let's break this down and figure out why. Well, the reason is because of all this augmented technology, you're not able to get through to a human on these technologies. So your question then is, well, how do I get through? Well, then I'm going to have to do it not through technology, but in person. So to do that in person, you're going to need to have some sort of connection. And that's a person, the human connection with someone that can put you in the right place. And in order to build that human connection, you're going to have to be creative to figure out, how do you connect with people that are going to help you get what you want? And to do that, you're going to have to practice your communication and put yourself out there. So it's all about authenticity. You can't do something expecting something in return, even though that's secretly what you want. If you're not sold by now, communication, collaboration, creativity, authenticity, your thinking style, all of that is built by computational thinking. And how do you learn computational thinking? Robotics is the best method that I've ever seen to learn these skills, along with the coding that goes with the robotics. And I want you guys to watch this next video clip to end the video, and it is going to show you guys from two people that I respect very much. Their name's Charlie and Ben. They run the Charlie and Ben podcast, and they are charisma coaches. And they are going to explain the best way to build a connection using computational thinking in order to get a job or solve any problem in the world that you guys are in.
Marco asks, what is the best / most charismatic way to get a professor to be a mentor in college? What about life in general? I liked this question because this is one that I also have. I struggle to find sort of help in my field. So,
do you want to take this? Because I have not done a good job of acquiring mentors.
No, I was actually going to point this to you. I was going to say, we managed to do all this mentor list, which is not what I'd recommend.
Yeah.
But we have friends who have done this. So I think of Zach.
Yeah.
And Justin.
Yep.
And the way that they do
John.
it, which I think is smart.
Adam Grant.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know his story, but I have two friends who have done this with very successful people.
Yeah.
And in both cases, they started with, how can I add value to this person's life? So they came in and they basically were offering free work, very similar to Charlie Hohn and Tim Ferriss, actually. And it was, I'm not just going to do this in a cold email. I'm actually going to research this person and what they care about and what they're currently doing. And then I'm going to think, what problems might they be facing, and what do I have skill-wise where I can actually help? And it wasn't through cold email.
Do you know specifically what these guys did? Do you know that just as a concrete example?
I know that Zach wrote Tucker an email that was about, hey, I know you're working on this. Here are the things I think that I could do to help. And it was this big thing. And I think he was off, but Tucker was just impressed with his
attempt to get it right.
And he was like, you know what? Like, let me tell you what I'm actually having issues with, and tell me what you would suggest there.
Got it.
And it started very slow. It wasn't like, this is a great email, kid. Why don't you come move out to Texas and be my mentee?
Yeah.
It was like, all right, cool. You're trying to help me. Those aren't the problems I'm having. Here are the problems I'm actually having. And
Ryan Holiday did something similar. And my friend John, I believe, the other thing, you mentioned it, but just to underscore it, is to engage with the work that they are doing. So if you come in and you're like, I could do this, I can get you coffee, that's less persuasive than, I've read your books, I've done your this, I took it the next step. So my friend John, for instance, back in college, he started 5-second favors, which was based on Adam Grant, who I believe was a professor of his, Give and Take. And the idea was he started this listserv where anyone on the listserv could ask for a favor from the rest of the group at the listserv that took 5 seconds or under. So it could be, like
upvote
this
Reddit
post, upvote this, whatever. And he doing that, I think, was not only a product of that, but brought him closer to him because he was engaging with his work on a level that showed that he was into it.
I've got another one, actually. Our friend Edward, he wanted to get closer to this person he admired, and so he was learning about them, trying to figure out what they like, what they don't like. He found out that this person was interested in a certain topic.
Yeah.
Then he found out the person was having an event in a country close to him because he's from Europe. And so he flew to the event and bought a ticket to the event so that he could go, so that at the end, when fans were going up for pictures, he walked up and he said, hey, I just wanted you to know I know that you're interested in this thing, and I brought this book for you. And the guy went, oh my God, that's awesome. I just bought this book for myself. And it started this, and he's like, oh, let's talk for 3 minutes. Cool, nice to meet you. No initial mentorship. And then he got an email address, I think. And a week later, he shot him an email, and they had this slow thing. And then eventually he went and did free work for him. And then he used that to get a job with another person he admired that was a paid job.
It takes time, which is why it's not fun. A guy did this, and I wouldn't describe myself as a mentor to him, but the people that I think of that I have been able to help, I got off the phone with Zeno yesterday, and he originally reached out and said, Zeno has done some of our animated videos. And he reached out and said, I'd love to do an animated video free of charge. Check out my animated videos. And they were sick. So we're like, okay, let's do this.
And then eventually we started paying him. But he started with free work. Same with our editor. Our editor started editing for free, right?
It just makes it you stand out immediately when the person feels like there's no cost to them.
And it's a real offer, though. Because I've had people, I'd love to come be an intern. To train someone, it takes me time. I don't really see a lot of value coming out. Someone came in and said, hey, I like your breakdowns. I'm kind of weak on editing. I'm a video editor. Do you want me to take a shot for free of editing a video? Cool. He did. It looked better than ours. He said, all right, cool. Do you want me to do the next one too? And then eventually he got paid very small amounts, and then now he's
full-time
making good money on it.
So the last one, because now we're just piling on, but I think the guy who can't, this is just to, you asked the question, I'll give you the examples. I wouldn't describe myself as a mentor, but if he reached out to me, he's got my personal email. He could get a hold of me, and he's gotten, he can get help from me. I sat down to lunch, bought him lunch, gave him as much business advice as I could in that time period, and he can contact me. This is a guy who reached out to me via email. I didn't answer because I didn't see it, because we get too many emails and I can't process them all. And he said, hey, I'm Australian, but I'm coming to LA, and I'd love to film you at this event that you're doing. I didn't see it. I go to the event, show up. There's a dude in full camera gear with a sling over his shoulder. He goes, hey man, I'm Dave. I emailed you. I'll be shooting you today. I was like, great. Are you with Powerful You? He's like, oh no, I'm here for you. What? Okay. And the truth is, I don't need that footage. But
you're just impressed with the fact that he showed up for his
there all day and got various angles. Okay, we're gonna get this, and did what would have been, if I needed it, an excellent job of the video editing.
That's the other thing. You got to do a good job. To do this and then botch it does not get you a mentor.
Well, the truth is, I didn't actually view it. I just could sense from the way that he was setting up his angles and that kind of stuff.
Sure, but if he rocked up with his iPhone, I was like, oh, I'm gonna videotape you.
He had multi-cam.
Yeah, which I'm just saying.
Okay, put
figure
this
out
mic on.
Figure out what you're good at. How can you actually help these people? You want them to help you.
Yeah.
start thinking, how can I actually be valuable
Yeah.
to them, and not just someone who's
And
like, teach, give me your time.
there was no guarantee. There was no guarantee.
No,
of this.
never.
At the end of it, I said, "Thanks, man. You were great. I'd love to take you to lunch." But that's not a guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this stuff just gives you a high percentage shot. And I think with a professor who maybe isn't famous or in demand compared to some of the other people that we've talked about, you should be able to knock.
So in conclusion, what I want you guys to take away from that video is all of these skills will be taught to you with computational thinking, which is given to you, or it's practiced through robotics and coding. And I don't feel like this is focused on enough in school, but to get a job, the best way, if you don't already have that connection, is to research what problems someone who you feel like could help you do what you care about, and try and figure out a way that you can solve them. Don't say, I don't know how to do it. Say, how can I help them solve that? Then offer your services for free, or just do it and send it to them to try and stand out, as opposed to just doing a resume. And be authentic. Genuinely do something that you think would help them. Don't try and secretly weasel your way into like asking for help. Give them value. Don't focus on you. And if you do that, no matter what type of job you're looking for or mentor, I mean, even if you wanted my help in math or something, and you were to send me a message and send me a video or something and say, hey, Mr. Stackler, I finished the lesson early. I made you this video, and I want you to be able to use that to send to other students if they're struggling on this lesson. That would totally blow me out of the park. It would make me super impressed with you, and I would definitely want to help you because you did something for me. And if you just asked me, hey, Mr. Stackler, can I get some help? It would be a completely different thing, where obviously I want to help you because I'm your teacher. But if you were doing the first version, I'm way more happy to help you because you made me feel happy. That's dual relationship of adding value to someone is super important. And I think that this skill in life is critical. And I hope that you guys take this to heart and you realize that learning robotics is totally going to change your life. Even if you're never going to be an engineer or do robotics again in the future, the skills are what's important. And I'm out.